Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Carter James Ranch on an unbelievable day in late February. Here we are, February 27th. 65 degrees today. That's unheard of. You know, I mentioned throughout the wintertime we've had a pretty warm winter, and this is really an example of it. I looked back at some footage that we took on some of the early YouTube videos from a year ago, right after we started the channel, right after we got the cattle into late March, and we didn't even have as much green grass popping through as we have right now in late February. So you know, you get down low here, you can start seeing lots of green popping through. So pretty unbelievable. So actually this morning didn't roll out any hay. We got a pretty good rain last night. As you can see, we got kind of some standing water from the storm last night, and didn't want to roll out a big bale of hay, so just went and bought some 4 small bales of brome hay, just put it out for the cattle today. But I've noticed they've actually started grazing a little bit. All those animals out there are grazing. We didn't roll out any hay that far out, so they're out kind of rummaging around. So we'll start cutting back on the hay, I suppose, as the grass is growing. But we're giving them big areas. We won't start clamping down the area until the grass really gets a little bit longer. But this weekend I had to run a quick trip out to Colorado. Left at 3 a.m. on Saturday. Had an appointment. Also had to run some beef out to my parents, and quick trip to Colorado and back. But here's our girl, 634. If you've been following the channel, she's had some foot issues, and I got back after the weekend. Jamie took care of all the cattle and all the animals for the weekend, but she's struggling a little bit. She's her wound has kind of come back on her foot. I'm not going to get too close because she'll get up. So I called today and got an appointment for her tomorrow at 11. So we'll be loading her up in the morning and going. We probably got to get her foot cleaned out, get her some antibiotics. Here's her bull calf hanging out with the mama. So he's one that we banded a few weeks back, and he's just about all fallen off. He's getting into the last couple days, but I'm sure the cattle are loving this warm weather. Here's a big bale of hay that I put out on Friday right before I left, so they've eaten through and just wrapping up. It's number 96. Schedule wise, I believe she's our first one that's scheduled the calf at the end of March, so she's got about 30 days left. Here's our lead steer. We got 1 week left with him, and he's heading to the processor on Monday. So he's been great to have here at the ranch. Again, there we go. We got that's from the storm last night, so lots of water came down. The ground is real moist. Grass is popping through. Pretty unbelievable. Still being February. You know, going back to my trip to Colorado, love going back. Always feels good to go back home. This reminds me of my youth growing up and being a young man there. And Jamie and I spent 15 years there after we got married. But it is so brown this time of year. I'm driving by and I'm seeing some livestock, lots of horses and some cattle. I'm just thinking to myself, boy, what are they eating? They gotta be feeding them hay. So I don't really know if the camera picks this up very well. Let's see if it picks it up better over here. Just how green everything's getting. So it's good stuff. So I'm gonna run over here and I want to show you where we ended up last week on the land clearing project. All right, I've walked across the pasture, getting a little closer over here. So originally we started the project over in that pasture and went down the hill, and the last day and a half with that smaller piece of equipment we got about as much done as we could, so I had them move over here. This is the pasture that we use. It's right up here behind the barn, and we kind of rotate the cattle through here, and then we go on the other side of the fence, and then we typically go around the pond to the back side. But this was just lots of trees in here, and so the cattle wouldn't venture back in here. And so they went to work, and in a day and a half they really cleared out a lot of open area, which is really unbelievable. I know you can't see it on the film. Let me zoom in. So there's a fence back there. Oh, you can't see with my finger. There's a T-post right there in the middle of the screen. But there's this fence coming down the hill basically runs right to that corner where that clump of trees is, and then shoots all the way back and then goes down to the railroad. So cleared this out. I've been so happy with what they were able to do with that small machine. I actually signed on to them bringing a bigger excavator in just to be able to clean out these roots and really just clean out some of a few bigger trees. We need to get rid of these burn piles. I'm gonna try to burn those this upcoming week. So hopefully the weather will cooperate. One other thing that happened last week, we do have part of the ranch is on the other side of the railroad. The railroad is just right back here. Don't know if you can see the gate down there, but the railroad last fall had ripped out the crossing. I think they were doing some repair to the railroad, and as a result they had to take out the crossing. So we could not access the 15 acres that's across there with any type of equipment. So I could walk across there and get there, but I think we're talking about possibly using that field for some hay this year, and maybe even using it for the bulls in the future. I need to get some fencing up over there, but that'd be a good place to isolate the bulls, and they'd be far enough away, but close enough where it'd be easy to take care of them. So in the winter time, but man, it's just unbelievable how much grows up when things are just allowed to just grow, and you don't have livestock. Still in this back pasture I've talked before, just got a lot of these woody shoots, and it'll be just real interesting to see over the course of a few years running the livestock through here. Now we've got more head of cattle, so we're going to be able to have more animal impact, and hopefully we can start to get some of that brush kind of knocked back. But boy, you can just see how green it is back here. We've rolled out hay. I've always been curious if we're going to get a lot of great fertility from the hay. You can see where it was laid out here. Heading on up there, but just tons of green popping through. So let me get all the way over here and I'll show you where we ended up last week. All right, this is where we originally started with the land clearing. And we showed some footage last week of a burn pile where all that dirt is, or where all that dirt leveled out is. And that burn pile just burned for a couple days, and then they kind of graded it all out. So that was great. Already got some little grass popping through where all that happened. This pile has just been a bunch of rocks and debris that they've come across. So I'm gonna need to figure out what we're gonna do with these big rocks. This is a burn pile. It's been smoldering for a few days. I can still smell it burning. I can smell the charred wood anyway. But cleared out this whole landscape, and then they also started working on the other side of the dam and realized it was just a little too wet back there for that smaller piece of equipment. So what we've decided to do is the week of March 6th, we decided to get a big excavator in here where they have a lot more ability to get different places. We're gonna start clearing some of the small trees along the dam and just working all the way back here. So I need to measure this, but I'm thinking now that we've cleared some of this out, it's got to be about 10 acres back here. So pretty unbelievable how much land we're opening up to try to grow more grass, and hopefully we can get, obviously that'll give us the ability to stock more animals here. We came through the winter with 37 head over here, and it went really well. Obviously need to stockpile, we need to get the grass growing better over here, but it gives me confidence that we can actually stock more animals here at the ranch. We did have to feed a good amount of hay. Went through, let's see, we had a total of 66 bales, and we've got about 15 bales left, and I think I'm not sure if we'll feed them all or not. So, but just lots of medium to skinny trees. It'll be a lot easier for the excavator to pull out. So we'll get this stuff cleared up, get a lot of this stuff cleaned up, get some grass seed back here, and get some burn piles going, and see what comes up. Start grazing it. Might even feed some hay over here, even in the spring. Roll out a couple bales here and let the cattle poop and pee over here, run their hooves. Just see what we can do. Just some gigantic trees though. I don't know if you can see, there's a vine hanging down from that tree right there. That's a vine all the way up. But unbelievable weather. 65 today, in the 60s tomorrow. I think maybe a little rain on Wednesday. Right here. Boy, it's amazing what you find these old farm properties. I think we found about 15 tires. When we were burning this burn pile, I actually called into the sheriff's office because they say don't burn anything that will put off black smoke. And I realized that we had a tire at the bottom, so it started putting off black smoke. So I called in and said, hey, nothing's out of control over here, in case anyone calls in. Just because we are right where the property's in the county, but we're right amongst the city. So always got to be aware of the neighbors. Make sure everyone kind of knows what's going on. Everyone's on the same page. So that's where we're at, February 27th. So appreciate everyone watching. Hope you guys are doing great. God bless. Have a good day.